Hi, I'm Brian, and today I'm going to take us all on this aesthetic journey where we're looking at the ethos of marketability and commerciality. Because what's happened in the past, in the last few videos I put up, is they haven't got many views. Now, that's not the be all and end all. In fact, what I really like more are the connections and the conversations that are being made in the comments. But still, maybe I should try and do something a little bit more accessible, a little bit more approachable for people out there, something they all know. And so that's why this week I've gone for Danielle Dax's mini album, Jesus Egg That Wept. Now, I know this is a bit of a popular one, and I know there's reviews of this all over YouTube, but I thought, I'll add my 2 cents into it because, even though she doesn't need the promotion, then it'd still be a nice thing to do to talk about the album. This is Jesus Egg That Wept, as I mentioned before. This came out in 1984 on Awesome Records. Awesome Records. And speaking of awesome, have a look at that cover. I think it's done by Sally Warburton. Both of her covers here, and Inky Bloaters, I think, had her artwork on it, and Dark Adapted Eye, the compilation, which has most of Inky Bloaters on it, Holly Warburton. And 1984, Awesome Records, and this is her second album, even though I'm going to say forever it's a mini album. And the cover is absolutely sensational. And there's the awesome labels, and I got that upside down. But a quick spin, and now we've got it upside down. So a quick spin, and now it's the right way around. Oh my God. Anyway, so what to make of this title, and who is Danielle Dax? Well, as with most things in sort of the new wave post-punk sort of arena, I've got a lot of my tips, if you will, from the Trouser Press Guide to Records. New wave post-punk, they're just like the Bible to me. And when I first got a copy of it, I scoured it from the start to A to Z, from start to finish, and made my notes and pulled out all the albums I wanted to get into. And then a friend of mine was over one time, and he wanted to give me something to go on a wild goose chase for, and he pulled out Danielle Dax, who I had missed her reviews in the Trouser Press. So anyway, so that set me off. And about a week later, I was at this sort of, what do we call it, a market, a vintage wares sort of place, which has a few records. And there indeed was Jesus Egg That Wept. And it was only about $20, which is about $10 for anybody with a strong economy. And I picked it up immediately. And when I took it home, I was going, I'll put this on the radio player, I'll put this on the record player and give it a go. And after listening to the first side, I went, what the hell is this? I've never heard anything like it. Whew. The second side, a little bit more approachable, but you never know. Anyway, so what to make about these titles? Jesus Egg That Wept. Now, I wasn't really sure what this title is about. In fact, the website Hit the North suggests it was taken from a bizarre newspaper article headline. If so, what is the article? What's the story that's going on? And I thought, is it Jesus Egg That Wept, like something to do with religion and Mary, Mother of God? Is it Mary or the Virgin Mary being discovered in artwork and torn up graffiti walls? When the rains hit, all of a sudden a face comes out. But then I thought, this syntax has always bothered me. Jesus Egg That Wept. What the hell is that about? And then I thought, Jesus Egg. Well, maybe that's an Easter egg. And it's an Easter egg that wept. Maybe at the state of the world, but also sort of like those appearances of Mother Mary, Virgin Mary. Are they the same person? I don't want to offend anybody here, but it's not really what I'm talking about. Anyway, so did they appear just like that? The Jesus egg that wept. So when you get your Jesus egg, children, like your Kinder egg, you open it up and maybe it's crying, something like that. Anyway, Danielle Dax is no mere singer and songwriter. She wrote and produced all of these songs and played a million instruments on there. Guitar, honky-tonk piano, drums, bass, flute, keyboards, tenor saxophone, tapes, 808 drum machines, metal kalimba, and on top of all of that, she provided the vocals, and it's kind of killer. There are a couple of other musicians who play on this album, and one in particular who was in Danielle's previous band, Lemon Kittens. And interestingly enough, I was at a shop called Super Trash, fantastic shop. Shout out to Matt the other day. And he had got some new records in, and there was a 12-inch of Danielle Dax's, which was called Cake Beast. And I thought, I've got it in my hands, I'm going to buy it. And then Matt looked at it and said, it's warped, and he's going to get it de-warped. So maybe in the fullness of time, I'll be able to spend way too much money on something that I might like. I don't know. But anyway, apart from the fact that there are a couple of extra musicians on there, this is fully the Danielle Dax show. And so let's strap ourselves in, have a chat, and listen to a bit and enjoy. Side one kicks off with Evil-Honky Stomp. Now you try saying that 5 times. And it's discombobulating right from the start. I remember putting the needle down into the groove for the first time I listened to this and going, what the hell is this? And if I can use a train metaphor, I would be suggesting that maybe it's a train with emphysema going down south into the marshes and the swamps of the deep south of America. Or maybe it's wheezing and hobbling its way back out there. But whatever is happening here, there's a great commitment to the form, and it's a great vocal from Danielle Dax here. Even though it's a sort of she takes on the persona of a very horrible person, a white supremacist who deals in slavery and trading. And unfortunately, advisory alert, it does contain the N word. The saxes and the guitars emphasize this mania, and the intensity of the song never really lets up. And what I really dig also is that the guitars, some of them are recorded backwards to give us that sort of swirling, droning sort of a feel. I didn't know what to make of this song the first time I heard it, and it still gives me great concerns that I don't know what it's all about. But I'm going to jump on this train and see where it takes us. Why not? And following on from Honky Evil Stomp, we have Pariah, so the sense of the outsider here. And what a difference this song is to the previous one. And if you're one of those people who really like sort of a distant stylistic attack on different songs from the album, then this is right up your alley, because we come from honky-tonk, swamp, whatever it is, and now we're moving into sort of a goth electronica with this sublime vocal floating over the top of everything. There is a sense of have no fear except fear itself, but there is still an unbridled element to this. And in the outro, we get this really cool, slightly weird, sort of almost Harold Faltermeyer sort of sound doing Axel F or maybe Popcorn. And I'm getting this picture of, like, from T.S. Eliot's poetry, of the madman shaking a dead geranium. But anytime there's sort of a lift in the mood, it seems like one element of the album is going to bring us back down or make us sort of wary about where we're going. And that happens in the lyrics here. So listen.
An acid buffalo slogan is who have sent their lambs to the slaughter. Never mindful of wayward kin who would sell their souls for a quarter. I've been on the other side in the darkness, the gunshots echo.
The last song on side A is called Fortune Cheats. And what kind of blows me away by this is that this song and two from the second side are all recorded on 4-track machines. Now, I used to have a 4-track. You used to have one. You used to have one. You used to have one. And you used to have one. We all had one. But it blows me away. And I suppose it blows me away because of the clarity, the consistency, and the complexity that she's able to get from this. But then you get reminded, of course, that Sgt. Pepper's and Country Joe and the Fishers' Electric Music for the Mind and Body were also recorded on 4-track. But I suppose the thing that blows me away is that you can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference between the songs recorded on a 4-track and the ones that were done professionally in the studio. Anyway, we've got these crazed strings which open this song and this distorted guitar that ensures we don't move too far away from this nightmarish feeling within this song and the vibe that's coming through the entire album. But then Danielle appears on the vocals, and she's got sort of like a country hoedown, and then moves into sort of a tribute to the Andrews Sisters with the shooby-doo-wop-bop.
Silence all your lies with a knife. Lying in the folds where your blood has dried today. Shoo-wee-doo-wee-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da. Shoo-wee-doo-wee-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Shoo-wee-doo-wee-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da. Shoo-wee-da, shoo-wee-da.
And then a keyboard, a piano enters, and it's completely demented. It's off the rails, to continue with that train metaphor. And at this point, you realize that you have no control over where you're going, but there is one person behind the wheel pointing us in the right direction or a different direction. It's Danielle, so strap in for the ride. It's so unsettling, and even the lyrics are very crazed because they're about revenge, the revenge of a woman on her cheating man. And this is the door where you left me yesterday, as though I placed all your bits in a paper bag. Silence all your lies with a knife. I know the broken bits. Keep all the bones. These are the hurting bits when you're alone. So is this a blessing to our ear, a balm to our souls, as Lou Reed might sort of talk about. Is it all going to be welcoming and fresh and relaxing on the second side? I doubt it very much. But let's go and have a look anyway. Side B or side 2, whichever you prefer, opens with Hammerheads. And this is another song that's recorded on the 4-track. And right from the get-go here, immediately, right from the start, any other tautologies I can put in there, I've got the feeling about this rhythm that I've heard it before. And then it hits me. It's got to be Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. I mean, have a listen to it for sure. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's a real Eastern mysticism about this music, especially on the guitars and the vocals that Danielle Dax is providing here. It's a standout on an album full of lots of standouts, and I dig this song enormously, Hammerheads. And then we come into a classic song. It's a pop song here, and I bet if you ask people if they knew Danielle Dax, those that did know her would probably be able to reference this song, which is Here Come the Harvest Buns, because it has a very jaunty, welcoming feel to it, but the lyrics offer us a counterpoint to that.
Here come the harvest buns, a belly full for everyone. Clipped in rows, they're dominoes, they're sick as a pig when morning comes. Round bum bum, flesh gun gun. Round bum bum, flesh gun gun. Spin we go with a honey go, with a honey go, with a hero lace, with a hero run. Spin we go with a honey go, with a honey go, with a hero lace, with a hero run. Spin we go.
And this is probably the most approachable song on the album to this point, but that doesn't mean it's easy. But it's interesting also that this song was also on the previous album, Popeyes, but it was re-recorded for this song. I think it was re-recorded, but it was placed on this album as well. I love it when the synths and the percussion enter during each break, and it adds so many layers of complexity during the last chorus. Or is it a verse? I'm not sure. We're rewriting things and subverting traditional pop structure. And there's also a cool drone underneath it all. It's ominous, it's unsettling, but it's a pop song. I'm almost tempted to put in a Sting Every Breath You Take reference here, but I shan't. Second to last song is called Ostrich, and to me this should be like in the textbook, the pantheon of new wave artists and songs, or it would be if the bass was a little bit more prominent. I think of people like Echo and the Bunnymen and Simple Minds and Joy Division, those sorts of bands, and they were really signposting and giving a priority to the bass, and I think we could have that here. Vocally, this does remind me a lot of Susie Sue, who I find difficult to get into, but no such problems there. And I'm going to listen to more Susie Sue to try and get in there. Her chanting, Danielle's, not Susie's, takes me back to ancient Egypt. But check out the chaotic nature of the distorted guitar, and there is shredding at the end. She's going for it, and that darkness is further deepened by the lyrics.
They're a shroud for all our feeling, and they strangle thought. A muzzle on the mouth that's bleeding. Inner discontent. Choose to snap the hand that's feeding. Guns are sucking air. Mumble over words of meaning.
And that leads us to the final track on the album, which is called The Spoil Factor. And this was the third and last song that was recorded on a 4-track. And I don't know, if I had to guess which one song was recorded on a 4-track, I'd probably go with this, because of sort of the clean, formulaic nature of laying down those tracks. It doesn't matter. And to paraphrase MGK Boston, for $1 zillion, can anybody tell me what song Danielle Dax is probably liberally borrowing from on this album? On this particular song, should I say. What's she sort of stealing like an artist? I can't pick this song, but it's always in my head, which is still interesting because it's my favorite song on the album. It's always in my head, and I think it's like late 60s, early 70s MOR, or maybe something from the singer-songwriter movement. I'm not sure, but still, it's brilliant.
Fascinating as they were, and I watched them glow in their colored charm, but it ain't it all, 'cause I knew the ends. Each sequence flicked flickered on the screen was repetition, though camouflaged.
That percussion sound at the beginning is really interesting. It's like, and I get the feeling, obviously, that it's been reversed from something, but I don't know what the initial sound is. But it begins with just the vocals and that sound, and it's absolutely superb. And then I adore when the bass synth comes in. For some reason, it reminds me a little of orchestral maneuvers in the dark. And it's the idea that it's also adding an instrument, but also adding another sonic dimension. And more synths come in after that. This formulaic approach to layer upon layer. And then there's layers of vocal harmony also come in, which reveal lots of things. But number one is what an amazing singer Danielle Dax is.
A finger points a crumbled side. Its fabric torn from long decay, and eyes unused to others' code. An echoed smile from yesterday, and I watched them glow in their color chum. But it tainted all, 'cause I knew the ends. Each sequence flickered on the screen was repetition, though camouflaged.
So for me, this might be the standout of all the standout. I think it's my favorite song on this album. It's certainly the most approachable. And as we go on layering and layering and layering, the song suddenly stops. Hope you're doing well. Bye now.